Jesus was a first-century Jewish preacher and religious leader. He lived under the Roman rule, but his world was still marked by the cultural memory preserved in the books of Maccabees. These texts recall a time when Israel had been subdued first by the Greeks and then by the Romans, and their moral is clear. The faithful must not abandon their ancestral customs, even under torture. The sons of the woman who refused to eat pork in 2 Maccabees chapter 7 epitomize this conviction. Abstaining from pork, like preaching circumcision, remained essential signs of fidelity to the law of Moses. For this reason, it is extremely unlikely that the historical Jesus ever ate pork. Yet here, in the Capilla de la Natividad of the Cathedral of Burgos, we see him seated at the Last Supper with a platter of cochinillo, which is roast suckling pig, set directly before him. Similar images appear in the Cartuja de Miraflores and many other Castilian retables. Why is Jesus, of all figures, shown breaking the very law he upheld? The answer is that this Jesus is not literally depicting the historical figure of Galilee, but a Castilianized Christ. The retable was created in the second half of the 16th century, at a time when the Jewish and Muslim communities of Castile had already been expelled, in 1492 and 1502, respectively. With the external enemy gone, suspicion turned inward. Identity was policed not just by belief, but by daily practice, and food became one of the sharpest markers of loyalty. Pork dishes, whether cochinillo, chorizo, morcilla, or cocido, were no longer mere meals. They became tests of Christian orthodoxy, and refusing them invited scrutiny. So in the first place, how did Christians justify eating what the Torah forbade? New Testament interpretation offered an answer. In Acts chapter 10, Peter has a vision of a sheet lowered from heaven filled with animals of every kind. A voice commands, "Get up, Peter, kill and eat." When Peter resists, the voice replies, "Do not call anything impure that God has made clean." Though the vision points to the inclusion of Gentiles in God's covenant, it also became a warrant for freedom from dietary laws. Paul also says in Romans chapter 14, verse 14, "I am convinced, being fully persuaded in the Lord Jesus, that nothing is unclean in itself." Then he says in Romans chapter 14, verse 20, "All food is clean, but it is wrong for a person to eat anything that causes someone else to stumble." Out of this long trajectory of interpretation and the pressures of 16th century Castilian identity, we arrive at this image: the Last Supper transformed into a Castilian banquet. The cochinillo at Christ's table is not historical detail, but cultural symbol. It proclaims that to be Christian in Castile meant more than listening to the New Testament at Mass. It meant following a Christ refashioned in Castilian society, one whose very meal testified to Catholic orthodoxy and the religious unity of a globalizing Spanish Empire.